Alright, well hello again everybody. Sunday afternoon, we came home from Gatlinburg this morning, went to church, and now we are taking a short drive up to the Blue Ridge Parkway above our house to one of the best places to see fall color, and that's the Rough Ridge Overlook on Grandfather Mountain. So Rough Ridge is let me just go ahead and put a plug in for it there. It's a very short hike. It is rocky, but it's not really a hard hike at all. I think you're up and back and maybe under a mile or just a little over a mile. But it's really a good hike if you want to see some great views with very little effort, and especially in the fall. It's really nice in the fall. So we've heard that it's at peak this weekend. Rough Ridge is one of the earliest places to turn color in the fall, along with Graveyard Fields below Asheville off the Parkway. Those two places always turn first. Don't really know why. We did do Graveyard Fields last week, and as I said on our other video, I didn't upload it because we spent the entire day recording and had no sound. So I think we figured out what the problem was there. But anyway, we're going to go up and check out Rough Ridge today. It's not a far drive from our house at all, maybe a little over 30 minutes. So we got time to do a short afternoon trip up there. Now, as far as hiking it, we usually do hike it. To be honest with you, we're going to drive up there and we're going to attempt to hike it. Having a lot of muscle soreness today from the hike yesterday, more me than her. You know, on our hike yesterday, I was kind of ribbing her a little bit for having to stop so much, and I kind of maybe now wish I had stopped a little more because I'm having more soreness today than what she is. So anyway, we're going to go up there and attempt it. I noticed driving up Highway 321 here, looking up at Grandfather Mountain, this is just the way it's been all year. Grandfather Mountain has a cloud over it. I don't know why I'm surprised at that. Been to Water Rock Knob 3 or 4 times this year. It's had a cloud every time. Went to Camera yesterday. It was covered in a cloud. And
actually, when we did Graveyard Fields,
it was
actually cloudy and kind of rainy.
It was cloudy and rainy that day. The funny thing is, I'm looking at the Blue Ridge Mountains ahead of us now. I don't know if you can see them on the camera. The one you see straight ahead now, if you can see it, is Grandmother Mountain. It's totally clear. There's clouds above it, but nothing on it. But the top of Grandfather is in a cloud, so it's going to be close to whether Rough Ridge is below those clouds or in them. I'm hoping it's still a little bit below because it is lower than the summit of Grandfather. So
clouds may even be this way, something, you know, and maybe not even on the top.
They're on the top of Grandfather, I can tell. So pretty much every drive or hike I've done this year to whatever mountain it is has a cloud over it. I think that's been literally without exception all year. Even the day we hiked up Allen Cave, it rained on us a little bit.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to try it. We're going to see what we can see up there at Rough Ridge today. If it's peak color like they say it is, or like what I've been reading, there's a lot of red maples around Rough Ridge, and they really just add something to the landscape. And again, it's a very easy hike. I want to say it's located off Blue Ridge Parkway, I know that, but I want to say it's around mile marker 302.8.
We'll say for sure once we get there.
Yeah, there is no, now let me just go ahead and say about that, there is no wooden mile marker post that says 302.8, but there are mile marker posts, and if you're coming from the north, you'll notice those numbers will start to go down, so you'll know you're getting close. Just as the numbers get down around 305, 304, you can be looking for it on your right. Now if you're coming up from the south, headed north, not coming from Asheville, then it'll be on your left, and the numbers obviously will be going up because they start at 469 in Virginia and make their way down. So I want to say it's about 302.8 miles of the Blue Ridge Parkway. So it's on the side of Grandfather Mountain. It's actually, this will help too, it's about a mile north of the Lynn Cove Viaduct. So if you're heading south and you cross the viaduct, you passed it. If you're heading north and you cross the viaduct, be looking because you're coming up on it on your left. It'll be marked Rough Ridge Overlook. Probably one of the better short hikes anywhere that you can do and see a really good view. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I agree. Now, it's rocky. I mean, there's a lot of stepping up.
You got to be careful.
Yeah. And I think it's actually rated moderate or something.
It is.
But it's so short is why he says it's easy.
And in my opinion, the best view is not all the way at the very top. You can go up there, and it's still not a long hike. But the best view, in my opinion, is there's a wooden walkway that you pass. It'll be on your left, and that's not far into the hike at all. If you go on past that to where you make a switch back to the right, there's a big rock right there, a big slanted rock. You can walk. There's enough for room for 20 people to walk out on it. To me, that's where the best views are. But you know, you ought to try it if you're in the area. If you just want a short hike, and say you hiked without any soreness, without any specialized equipment, this is a really good one to do, and I would highly recommend it in the fall. I would not recommend it in the winter time. I think it would be very hazardous.
Yes, but ice. Yeah.
Yeah, if you did not have special equipment, I would not advise you to do it in the winter. But first time I did it was last summer. I just went up on a foggy day, and when I was up there, the fog actually cleared out and had a really, really nice view of the valley. And we went back in the fall, and we've driven up there a couple of times since then. Just something to get out of the house, you know,
Yeah.
something quick. If we can't make a trip over to the Smokies, just something quick, right up on the Parkway, and there it is. Coming into the town of Lenore now. So we're going to shut the camera off and start it back up once we're on the Parkway, because down here in the valley, the colors, you're just starting to see hints of yellow, but it's still 99% green down here. There's not much to see. Probably in another 2 weeks, you'll start seeing the change down here. But up on the Parkway, it's turning. Up in the mountains, it's turning. So we're going to try to do something every weekend to bring some fall color, and hopefully every week, hopefully we'll hit a good weather weekend at least once. So perfect weather right here, but I was noticing grandfather's in the clouds, so we'll see how it goes. Maybe that'll move on by the time we get up there, but we'll bring you some more videos shortly. Alright, we're now on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and we've gone through several areas of good color. Then it'll go green for a while. We're kind of in a mostly green area now, but I'm looking up where Rough Ridge is going to be, and it's looks like it's on fire. So should get some good color up there in just a few minutes. But we're riding, yeah, got some people crossing the road here. We're riding south on the Blue Ridge Parkway. We're south of Blowing Rock, in the Boone Fork area right now. And like I say, we went through a nice area of color back there, but it was short-lived, and then it turned green again. It's just very spotty depending on where you're at on the Parkway. Like right here, mostly green. There's still a lot of, turn that camera up a little bit more, less hood and more trees. There you go. There's still a lot of turning to be done. We're going to be back up in Ashe County next weekend, Lord willing, and get you some color. Hopefully over the next week, the colors will progress. There's still a lot of green right here, and right here is a really nice colorful area. But we're getting closer to Rough Ridge. Look at that hill there. Hope you can see that. Like I say, you may go a mile and it'd be totally different than what it was where you just came from. So it's kind of where we are on October 10th. Next week it should be really ablaze on the Parkway here.
And it's pretty crowded. A lot of the overlooks have a lot of people, so yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be like that all through the month, honestly.
It will, yes.
But some nice color there. And we're just a couple of miles from the Rough Ridge Overlook now.
And we were able to see that when we were coming up 321 before we got on the Parkway. Grandfather Mountain was not in the clouds.
Well, it was, but it's not now.
I know, that's what I'm saying when we got up here.
It's cleared off now, so I'm glad that cloud moved on. And hopefully we can get up to Rough Ridge before another one comes. But there are some. So, like I say, right through here, mostly green. But where Rough Ridge is at, like I say, it and I think Graveyard Fields below Asheville are like the earliest areas on the Parkway to change colors. They usually peak, well, now, second weekend in October. The rest of the Parkway around this altitude about the third weekend. And then colors start moving down to the valley in the end of the month. So even back in Blowing Rock, there was not a lot of color change. A little bit, not a lot yet. Blowing Rock should be looking good next weekend. I hope I get these videos uploaded by next weekend, or they're going to be obsolete. But as we're climbing, we're probably close to about 4,300 feet now, so we're starting to come back into some color. we should be getting pretty close to the Rough Ridge Overlook. Like I say, this is just a good little hike in the fall that doesn't require a lot of effort. And
remember last year we came up on a Saturday when it
rained.
Rainy, and then we came back up one evening too for like a sunset.
Yeah, we did. That Saturday we came up in the rain. The rain subsided a little bit. It still stayed cloudy, but something about the glistening of that water on those leaves, it made it look like it was just like
like the clouds cleared out.
Like a fairy tale almost.
Yeah, enough for us to see how pretty and bright everything was.
Yeah, and then the clouds did move out a little bit and we were able to see, but it honestly, it just looked like a painter's brush that Saturday. Or a painting, I should say. Getting pretty close to the Rough Ridge Overlook here. Like she said, yeah, we're at mile marker 302 now. I want to say it's 302.8. So we should be about there. And there's not a physical marker that says 302.8, but there is a sign in the parking lot that says Rough Ridge Overlook. And it will be on your right if you're headed south. There's Grandfather Mountain straight ahead. No, this is not it. It's the next one, though. This should be the next overlook after this one. And to be honest with you, it's looking a little greener than it should. I thought they said it was at peak this weekend, but it's still some nice color here, so I think we are going to try to walk it. It would be a shame not to. And we'll go as far as we can. I'm really hurting from yesterday. Say something.
Well, that overlook back there on the right was Boulder Field Overlook. So once you see that, you cross these little bridges through here. Yeah, it should be the next one on our right. I was just trying to think, you know, remember last time we pulled in there thinking that was it. We're like, oh, no, next one up.
Oh, I started to pull. Did I actually pull in?
I don't remember.
No, I did start to signal.
Yeah.
But here we are coming up on Rough Ridge, and looks like we have it all to ourselves. Oh, wow. Folks, I don't know if we're going to find a parking spot.
I don't think my car can park like that.
No, I'll just wait till somebody leaves or something. But anyway, we're going to try to get parked, and we'll bring you some more video if we can. Rough Ridge Overlook, elevation 4,293 feet. So we are at the trailhead now. Walk over here. There's a nice little waterfall coming out of the mountains. See that right quick. We'll be crossing that little bridge up there. Alright, you ready? That was on Grandfather's. We were coming up the road. Looks like it drenched the trail a little bit because it looks like it's just rained. So, oops. I just stepped right in it. It's going to be a little slick going today. Trail is just a muddy, rocky mess right now. A lot of people on it. It's very crowded, and for good reason. Like I said, it's such a doable hike for pretty much anybody. If you can hike at all, you can do this. You do want to be careful because it's very rocky in some places, but the climbing is just not too intense at all, and you're rewarded with good views. But a little bit slick through here. Let's see how it turns rocky right there. What I was just saying about this hike being doable for everybody, while the camera was off, we just talked to a couple from Winston-Salem, and how old she say she was?
Was it 85?
She's 83, her husband's 85.
Oh, okay.
And they're hiking this trail today, so.
And she says they try to hike regularly.
Yeah, so
which is great.
I hope I'm able to do that when I'm in my 80s, but you can see how rocky it does get. You do have to be careful.
Especially after a rain in the mud.
Yeah, well, you want to be careful anyway, but especially, yeah, now. But Very popular hike for good reason. So. Okay, this is the first vantage point overlook from Rough Ridge. Now, the thing I'm going to show you here is there's not nearly as much color as we thought. I had heard that it was peaking here. It's not. Still a lot of green. As you move on up the ridge, there is more color. But interestingly enough, it popped up in my Facebook memories today that it was a year ago today we were on this same overlook, and the color last year was especially right in that area. You can see the patch of color up there, but mostly still green. Last year that whole hillside was ablaze. So I think we're going to come back next week. When we're up in Ashe County, we're going to drive back down here again because I think there's still some color to be had here. It's a little bit behind schedule up right here, but here's Grandfather Mountain. And over here is the Lynn Cove Viaduct.
Which way did you guys come? Did you guys come over the bridge or down?
And out in the distance, you can see the Black Mountains, which is the highest mountain range east of the Mississippi River.
Yeah, I was trying to text you on that one because I figured it'd be that.
Mount Mitchell is in the Black Mountains. You actually can see the corner of Mount Mitchell right behind Grandmother Mountain there.
Well, it does like the outlook instead of...
But as you can see, the colors are just, they have not peaked yet. So this view is worth a second trip up. Walk over to this side. And from here, you can see the valleys are still pretty much green, and you can see in the distance the South Mountains of Burke County. Over to the right, you can see there's two nose-looking things. The one on the left is Table Rock, and the one on the right is Hawksbill Mountain. Zoom back out a little bit here. Pan over this way, looking down towards Lenore, Caldwell County, where we came out of. And I know the camera's not picking it up, but way out in the distance with my naked eye, I can see the skyline of Charlotte, North Carolina, which is probably about 80 miles, probably 70 miles straight line distance from here.
What you're seeing?
I am seeing Charlotte. It's going to be very bad quality video, and I don't know if it's even going to show up. Little wooden walkway. This is the first good overlook at Rough Ridge, but we're going to go on up a little ways to what I think is a better view. I can see why you might argue it's at peak up top. I don't think it is yet, but there's a lot more color up there than there is here. There's still some green up there too. So I know we're going to at least go as far as that rock. I think that rock right there is the best view in my opinion. But we're going to head that way now. I look back down the rocky trail, and we continue to climb over rocks and boulders, and I think it just did rain because this is a messy trail. Everybody's taking it really slow and pretty much tiptoeing, and there's a lot of people, so it's slow going today. But you can't blame them because it's very slick, like I just about slid there. And we're coming up on the rock, which is my favorite view up here. Still not all the way at the top. Looks like it's a lot of people's favorite view. Anyway, there's the rock. I'm gonna go up on that. The rock that I personally think has the best view. It's pretty much the same view, just a little bit higher. Still looking down on a lot of green. So we've already been discussing, and we think this is worth a part 2 next weekend because there's still a lot of color to be had. So we're going to go ahead and upload part 1, then let you see the progression over a week. Down there's where we were just at. Down there is the Blue Ridge Parkway, and the parking area is right in there. It's a very expansive view.
und ich schlafe nicht ein, wenn ich kurz vor der Im Auto geht es, aber im Bett nicht. Ja,
Sollen wir woanders hin, weil hier ist...
Ich würde sagen, wir gehen wieder zurück. Wir fahren ein Stück weiter. So, jetzt haben wir es.
Der Tag ist so lang heute.
Climb. We're getting up into some color now. We're going to go all the way to the top today because that's where most of the color seems to be, and probably next weekend we'll go just as far as that rock we were just on. Get to the little patches of color here. I'm trying to record where I can safely do so. I know it's kind of jumpy. I apologize, but I'm not even able to record everywhere on this trail today. This is by far the longest it's taken us to ever hike it because a lot more people today than what we've been here when it's moderately crowded, but today it's it's packed. And it's kind of slow going today. You can hear, I'm sure, me sloshing around through the water and the mud. Yeah, try to figure out where to put my foot right here. Wow, whoa, that was tough. I'm about to fall. I'll pause here and let some people go by. And can't really see much, but out in the distance is Mount Mitchell. Highest point in the eastern United States. One thing I'd never noticed on other trips up here is that you can actually see the Grandfather Mountain swinging bridge. Been on that bridge, but didn't know you could see it from here.
What a rare
And
sight.
there's all kinds of gnats up here. Actually mosquitoes, I think. There's a drone flying overhead. Sounds like a beehive. Sorry about the jerkiness there. I'm trying to swat mosquitoes. The viaduct.
God.
Back down the valley. Ready to descend down Rough Ridge, but before we go, I just want to ask y'all's opinion. I got laughed at. Does that cloud not look like Kentucky? To me, that cloud looks like the state of Kentucky. Not exactly, but very similar. And I asked Shaughnessy, she laughed, but I think it does. So, look at that drone out there flying over the valley. I bet that's getting some good video right there.
Coming over us earlier.
Yeah. I've got to get me a drone. I'll probably lose it first time I fly it, but that's pretty awesome. Folks, from up here at Rough Ridge, you can see all the way east to Pilot Mountain, Mount Airy, and then back over towards Wilkesboro, Lenore. You can see down past Hickory. You can see Charlotte, Gastonia. I can see Kings Mountain out there in the distance, which is on the South Carolina state line, pretty much below Gastonia. And you can look back to the west and see Mount Mitchell and Grandfather Mountain. Just an awesome place to come and view the scenery in. This is going to be worth a part 2 because we're going to try to make it next week, weather permitting, and I do look for there to be a lot more color next week. So in some areas the colors are actually ahead of last year, but not here. This is behind last year, don't you think?
Oh yeah.
My wife's editing pictures and not paying a bit of attention to me. So, did you get everything edited?
Not everything, no.
Okay. All right, well, part 2 next week, y'all. Thanks for watching. Okay, well, we're leaving Rough Ridge Overlook. That's the end of part 1. We are going to do a part 2 next week, Lord willing and weather permitting. So, today, very good view as far as once it cleared out, but I think it had just poured the rain. That trail was just a soppy, muddy, slick mess today.
Sorry.
Let's start that over. What we're going to do now is we're just going to ride out across the viaduct as far as the Beacon Heights parking lot and then turn around and head back home. It had just rained before we got there, so today's the trail today was just a muddy, wet, slick, slimy, soppy mess.
It was.
That's the only way I know to describe it. It took probably twice to 3 times as long to hike Rough Ridge today as it ever has before, because of the trail conditions and because of the amount of people. Way too many people on that trail today. I understand why people do want to come to it in the fall, but just honestly, it's never been so crowded.
Yeah, that was the most
Or at least
crowded.
when we've been there, it's never been so crowded. And honestly, we were all the time stopping and letting people go by, or people were stopping and letting us go by.
We only saw one person fall and slip.
We did see one person fall and slip.
And they didn't get hurt, thankfully.
Yeah, didn't get hurt. He got very muddy though.
Yeah. I slid a few times, but didn't go all the way down.
I was worried about the 85-year-old gentleman. I can turn that camera back down a little bit. It's kind of pointing up to it, just a notch. I was worried about that 85-year-old gentleman coming down with his 83-year-old wife, but I think they must have made it down. They were already almost down when we met them, but yeah, still a lot of green here. I was surprised by that, because this is usually the weekend that Rough Ridge is peaking, and it's not peaking. I don't care what you're reading on some of the Blue Ridge Mountain sites. I've seen people say Rough Ridge is peaking. It is not. There's still more color. It might peak middle of the week. It might peak next weekend, but it is not at peak. Last year was a lot more colorful than this year. Still very pretty. The views had clear views.
Yeah, you could see.
We could see the Charlotte skyline, which, as you've already heard me say in the video, and you can only do that on certain days. That's not always visible from up here.
Summertime's not a good time.
No, you're never going to see Charlotte in the summertime because of the summer haze. But in the fall and the winter time, when it's perfectly clear, and we could see it today.
We're on the viaduct now.
Yes, this is the Lynn Cove Viaduct, headed south towards Grandfather. Actually, we're on the side of Grandfather Mountain. But,
see out that way.
Yeah.
You see so far.
It's not for the faint of heart. But
No, I remember my first time going across it. We were quite scared.
when you say we, clarify that I wasn't.
When I was a child.
Yes, when you was a child, because I ain't never been scared.
My dad was like, no, we're not going to go
Not on
across it. When we ride the Parkway, my dad was like, we ain't going to cross it, we ain't going to cross it. All of a sudden, there it is. There's nowhere to turn around. And with 5
I
kids.
just told y'all that, so you'd be quiet.
And there was like silence all of a sudden. I mean, there was like no fighting, no nothing. It was silent.
No, for only if we had more viaducts. But, well, no fighting. Who wants to be driving when the kids are fighting? She had 2 sisters and 2 brothers.
And I was the oldest.
And the meanest, is for what I've been told. Alright, getting ready to ride back across the viaduct, headed home now. So we'll just ride along here and let you see some of the beautiful creation, beautiful colors. Fall is one of my favorite times of year. I think yours too.
Yes.
I pretty much like all things fall. Pumpkins, apples, leaves,
Flannel.
corn stalks, flannel. Yeah, start getting the warm clothes back out. I love it.
Apple cider.
Apple cider, yeah. Yeah, we're going to, next week on our West Jefferson trip, I always stop off at Green's Trading Post on 321 and get me some apple cider, and then we'll go up to the Ashe County Cheese Factory in West Jefferson. West Jefferson's a really pretty area with fall leaves too. Really, really pretty town.
It is.
We're coming back up on Rough Ridge. Actually, we can still see people standing. If you can still see that over there on the rocks, there's people still standing on it over there. That's where we were just at.
That's always pretty neat too, ain't it?
Huh?
To be able to see where you were just at when you hiked up somewhere.
Yeah. We've done our share of exercising this weekend. Mount Cameron yesterday, and then Rough Ridge today. Rough Ridge is a lot shorter. It actually seems easy after yesterday.
Yeah, when we were coming down, there were some people. We said, "You can come on up," because you know it's so muddy, and people were letting each other go. And we were like, "You can come on through." And they're like, "No, we're taking a breather." And I'm thinking,
yeah, and they just barely started.
I know. I'm thinking a breather on this one.
Yeah.
So yesterday I needed a lot of breathers.
Yeah, I mean, Rough Ridge, as far as difficulty, is nothing compared to yesterday. Pretty much anybody can do Rough Ridge.
If you can climb rocks, you can
climb. Yeah, climb some rocks, and you know, can be careful going down. I wouldn't recommend it if you have a cane or a walker. Maybe if you had a cane, it might be like a walking stick. Just make sure you're in reasonably good health, and you do want to be careful anytime you're up there.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you probably have to work less for an awesome view on that one than any hike I can think of.
They were on Rough Ridge.
Yeah, so I think what I'm trying to say is you get the most reward for the least effort on Rough Ridge.
Yeah, you do.
And you can see a lot of North Carolina. You can see pretty much all the way back to Mount Mitchell, down to Charlotte, and east past Mount Airy. And I'm pretty sure I spotted Pilot Mountain from up there. It's a long ways away. That's not just a stone's throw from here.
We were at Pilot Mountain, and we were able to see back over this way.
Yeah, but that was like still, what was that, March? It was still it was still cold, and there was no haze at all.
Yeah.
It was actually even clearer that day, I think, than it is today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was still icy up there. That day was a little bit of ice on the trail. That don't seem like it's been March. That was our day in Mayberry video. We toured Andy Griffith's hometown and went around to some of the shops in downtown Mount Airy, or Mayberry.
And Opie's candy shop was delicious.
Opie's candy shop, the Snappy Lunch. Andy mentioned the Snappy Lunch on the show.
Right beside of Floyd's barber shop.
Right beside of Floyd's barber shop. She wouldn't go in there and get a haircut. I didn't understand that.
I wasn't due for a haircut at the time.
The Parkway's a popular place today. A lot of people on that trail today. Just actually too many, to be honest with you. Well, folks, we're going to conclude this video for today. Part 2 next week, because I just think Rough Ridge warrants another. I hope that drone doesn't hit the car. That thing's really low. I don't think I've ever had a drone that close to the car just driving along.
I know. I think it was coming back to the girl that was flying it.
Yeah. But part 2 to come next week. We will show you some beautiful fall footage from Ashe County, West Jefferson, and we'll drive back down here and go back up Rough Ridge again. So thank y'all for watching, and please do like and subscribe to our channel. That helps us out, and we would appreciate it. Thank you.